Hey everybody, Pastor Dale here with you with our weekly pastoral update. And this week, I'd like to take a second just to look behind and then look ahead a little bit. And looking back, I'd like to talk a little bit about our last sermon that we had as a part of our letter series that we just concluded this last Sunday, in which we've been going through the different letters to the churches there in Revelation chapter 2 and 3. And if you were there with us or you were able to watch online, you know that we talked about what maybe Jesus would write if he were to write a letter to Wedgwood specifically. And so we covered a lot of different territory, looking at a lot of different scripture passages, but one of the things that we really honed in on was 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 1, where Paul is writing there to the Thessalonian church, and he tells them, look, you've heard and you've learned how to honor God, how to follow God and love Him and love each other, and you're doing that. And then Paul concludes by saying, I want you to do that more and more. And what we talked about this last Sunday is that I think that's a great encouragement for us as Wedgwood, is that we have a lot of really good things going on, and there's a lot of obedience, there's a lot of discipleship and fruit bearing that's taking place here at Wedgwood. But I think it's important for us to not get comfortable and to not get into kind of a spiritual neutral or cruise control, so to speak, but we need to continue as a church and as a congregation to grow and to not become complacent, to not become lukewarm, as we looked at a couple of weeks ago as well with the church of Laodicea. And so I think it's important for us as a church, as a congregation, to continue to be looking for ways in which we can grow and improve in our love for Jesus and our love for one another, and then our love for the community as well. And so one of the practical things that we talked about was the importance of this idea of desire without discipline doesn't equal anything. It doesn't bear any fruit. And so it's important for us to be mindful of how is God calling us to grow in different areas of our life, whether it be in our love for one another, our devotion to His Word, our service here at the church, our generosity, our ability to reach out to other people, and then to practically think about what's one step we can take in one of these areas. And then I think, and what we talked about on Sunday, is that if we as individuals continue to grow in our holiness and our love for God, then collectively that's going to result in some significant change. And so the key to us collectively as a whole, as a church, growing and being able to excel or to abound more and more, as Paul says there in 1 Thessalonians 4, the key to that is each of us as individuals taking responsibility for our own individual lives and seeking to grow in our relationship with God. And then that bears fruit across the spectrum. And so let me encourage you to be mindful about what is God calling you to do? How is He calling you to grow? How is He calling you to abound more and more in the things that you know about God, the things that you have learned about God? Now, looking ahead, I want to talk very quickly just about what's coming up on Sunday mornings over the next several weeks. Starting this Sunday, on December 12th, we're going to start a very short or brief Christmas series. We're going to be looking at the Christmas story from the perspective of Matthew's Gospel. And so this week and next week, we'll be looking at Matthew's chapter 1 and 2, talking about the birth of Jesus and looking at what Matthew has to say about all of that. And then we'll conclude that series there on Christmas Eve during our Sunday night, or our evening Christmas Eve service at 6 o'clock on December 24th. Now, the last Sunday of the year will be December 26th, and we're going to do something we did last year, in which I'm going to offer just kind of a small little sermonette. I promise, it really will be short. And then we're going to give the opportunity for our congregation to pray. And so we'll basically have just an open mic time of prayer, in which we'll have a few mics scattered there around the sanctuary and invite you, our congregation, to just pray whatever God has put on your heart. So let me encourage you. This was a really neat time last year. Let me encourage you to make plans to be there for it. Again, on that Sunday, December 26th. Now, as we head into the new year, our plans on the 2nd of January and the 9th is to do a little bit of a looking back and looking ahead. We'll be looking at some passages in Isaiah that talk about the importance of how we are to remember our past. But at the same time, Isaiah also encourages us to not idolize the past. And so we'll be looking at that. And then on the 9th, we'll be looking ahead to the future and seeing maybe what God has in store for Wedgwood over the next several years. And then on the third Sunday of the year, there on January 16th, We're going to be starting a new series going through the book of First Peter, which will just be getting back to our normal plan of looking at each passage verse by verse, looking and seeing how God can challenge and encourage us as a church. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for a lot of that series as well. So that's it as far as the Sunday mornings are concerned for the next several weeks. We look forward to continuing to worship with you over these next several weeks together. And don't forget, Wednesday night, we have all of our normal Wednesday night activities as planned. So we look forward to seeing you Wednesday and this Sunday. God bless.